Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to support legislation I authored, H.R. 4155, the Veterans Skills to Jobs Act. America is blessed with the strongest, most capable, and professional military in the world. Unfortunately, for many of our veterans, transitioning from the service means a battle with joblessness. And as my friend from Utah explained, the unemployment rate is set at 12.7%. But for our young veterans, it's 29.1% for those that are under the age of 25. The federal government has invested in our servicemen with some of the most unique, expensive, and valued training in the world. These brave young men and women have put their lives on the line and deserve to be able to use this training when they come back home. With 200,000 servicemen and women transitioning to the civilian workforce each year, we must ensure that they're able to find jobs when they come home. I personally dealt with this issue when I left active duty as a crew chief. Though I had training on the most sophisticated aircraft in the world, to work on less sophisticated aircraft in the civilian side, it would have taken me 3 years of training after I left active duty. And in my conversations with Mr. Walls from Minnesota, some of the challenges that his veterans have seen in Minnesota had to go through the same state licensing procedure. It's time to say enough is enough. If you've had the best training in the world, you ought to be able to get the best jobs in the world. And this body ought to make sure that that certification, that licensure, is a seamless process. If you leave active duty today, you ought to have work tomorrow in the private sector utilizing that very same training. This legislation not only mirrors similar efforts on the state level, but follows the recommendation of the Defense Business Board of the Department of Defense that issued a report calling for exactly this same type of reform. The Skills to Job Act would help fix this problem, and I'm glad to see that both chambers of Congress working together in a bipartisan fashion to accomplish this very same goal. Helping our returning veterans find jobs is not the concern of one party or one body of Congress. The Senate adopted this matter unanimously last week before we left break, and it's time that this body do the same. Again, I want to thank Mr. Walls of Minnesota for his hard work on this effort, for the bipartisan effort. He and I have been in close communication this entire 112th Congress in making sure that this comes to reality, as well as Senator Nelson from Florida offering the companion bill in the Senate. It's time to make sure that we have a bipartisan and quick solution to this issue. And I also want to thank the American Legion, of which I'm a member of. They have worked tirelessly in both bodies, as well as from a grassroots perspective across the nation, working with many other service organizations to actually make this a reality. Now it's time that this body does its job and pass this important measure, and I yield back.